Hello and welcome to the history of Stargate Universe. Today's episode, Colonel David Telford, and here we go. David Telford is a colonel in the United States Air Force. A lifelong military man, he was originally chosen to lead the expedition through the Stargate when they acquired the ability to dial the 9th Chevron. However, due to the unforeseen invasion of the base, Colonel Everett Young became the new leader, but not by choice. After being exposed as a Lucian Alliance mole due to brainwashing, Telford joined the expedition for a time. Due to unique circumstances, Telford was killed on an alternate timeline, and was replaced by the version of himself from an alternate timeline who made it home to Earth. Before he was assigned to the Icarus Base, Telford spent a year infiltrating the Lucian Alliance. At some point during his mission, he was discovered and brainwashed by presumably captured Goa'uld brainwashing technology to believe in the Lucian Alliance cause. 8 months in, the Lucian Alliance attacked a Tok'ra base that killed 37 people, which Telford knew was coming, but did not report. Telford claimed it was necessary to protect his cover, and was let off the hook. As a result of his completed mission, he was given command of the Destiny expedition, following Colonel Everett Young's refusal of the position. Sometime in 2009, during his 6-month tenure at the Icarus Base, Telford had Major Sergeant Ronald Greer detained for striking him. Later, with Greer still detained, Telford piloted an F-302 fighter interceptor in defense of the Icarus Base during an attack from 3 unknown Hataks and Death Gliders. During the battle, the planet's core became unstable and the Tok'ra defense forces were forced to retreat. Telford was ordered by the commander of the George Hammond, Colonel Samantha Carter, to recall his F-302 squadron within 2 minutes before the jump to hyperspace. As such, he was separated from those who went through the Stargate to Destiny, and feels that they are not qualified to survive on their own. Telford briefly switched places with Colonel Young when the latter used the long-range communication device to contact Earth. Telford took command in Young's absence, but was hampered by the injured state of Young's body. He was sedated by Lieutenant Tok'ra Johannesson when his behavior began to threaten Young's health, and he subsequently returned to Earth. Telford spent much of his time near the long-range communication device in Homeworld Command, waiting for any Destiny member to switch bodies with him, finding himself once again in the body of Young. Telford, unsatisfied by Young's leadership decisions, attempted to have Lieutenant Matthew Scott stage a mutiny. However, Young ended the transfer in the middle of the conversation, and Telford found himself back on Earth without a response. A short time later, Young admitted to Major Sergeant Ronald Greer that he enjoyed the look on Telford's face when Greer struck him, though he agreed with the decision to detain Greer for the assault. He also admitted that Telford deserved it. When the International Oversight Advisory devised a plan to return those on Destiny home, he used the long-range communication device to take control of Young's body and took command of the ship as Young was reluctant to implement the plan. However, Telford's actions drew some concern, particularly from Dr. Nicholas Rush and Adam Brody, who felt that it posed the risk of destroying the ship. During the time he was in command, communication disruptions from the ship's faster-than-light engine would result in Telford and Young momentarily switching back into their own bodies for a few seconds. During the first of these interruptions, Telford witnessed Colonel Young making love with his wife, Emily, in his body. After Rush and Brody faked a catastrophic chain reaction in the Stargate, Telford and his crew turned off the communication device to escape the ship. Young used this fact against him in a later meeting, claiming he removed any sense of command from Destiny when he cut and ran. After becoming aware of Colonel Young's interactions with Emily Young, Telford began a friendship with her, eventually gaining her trust. He attempted to undermine her relationship with her husband, telling her that Young is still having an affair with Lieutenant Tok'ra Johannesson aboard Destiny. Young learned of this meeting through Lieutenant Scott, who picked up traces of Telford's memory during the time that they inhabited each other's bodies, and interrupted a meeting between Telford and Emily. While Young spoke with Emily, learning about what Telford told her, Telford quickly arranged to have the long-range communication device shut off, disconnecting Young as he was about to attack him in anger. Later, Young, posing as Dr. Dale Volker during a scheduled use of the stones, ambushed Telford as he was leaving home, giving him a quick but brutal beating. After having swapped bodies with Telford, Dr. Rush saw flashes of Telford's memory in a dream, revealing him as a Lucian Alliance spy, as something similar had occurred before between Telford and Scott. It was found to be due to the effects of the Goa'uld brainwashing technique. Rush swapped bodies with Telford again and attempted to infiltrate the Alliance in his body. Rush was captured by Kiva while Colonel Young interrogated Telford in Rush's body aboard Destiny. Young later freed Telford from the effects of the brainwashing technology by suffocating him to death in a vacuum and resurrecting him. He quickly told Young everything he knew of the Lucian Alliance plan to capture Destiny, including the location of the Icarus-like planet they would dial from. With this brainwashing broken, Telford was truly horrified at what he had done, stating that he remembered all of it. As the Lucian Alliance boarded Destiny, Rush still in Telford's body, he was taken through the Stargate to the ship, and the communication link was instantly severed. Kiva initially moved to kill him, thinking he was Rush, but Telford convinced her of his identity using the code word identification and pretended to still be brainwashed. Telford eventually hatched a plan to separate Kiva from the hostages so the military could retake the ship, but was caught in the act by Kiva. Telford quickly shot Kiva and fatally wounded her, but not before she could also return the shot, injuring but not killing Telford. As a result of Kiva's death, Telford's betrayal was never revealed to the Lucian Alliance, although Simeon seemed suspicious of his story of he and Kiva being ambushed. Later, Telford, in intense pain from his wound, tried to convince a now insane Danik to surrender, but he was beyond reason and went to kill Telford after Telford accused him of wanting Destiny for himself. However, before he could, Gin, realizing that Telford was right, shot Danik in the back 4 times, killing him and surrendered on his behalf, causing Telford to give her a grateful nod. Shortly after the invasion, Camille Ray interviewed several of the captured Lucian Alliance members to determine if they could be trusted. He and Ray developed a list of those who would prove valuable and reported to Homeworld Command, without Colonel Young's knowledge. Homeworld Command then ordered Young to keep the members on the list and leave the rest on the nearest planet. Following the departure of the Lucian Alliance prisoners and the death of Sergeant Hunter Ray, Destiny dropped out of FTL near a familiar object. As it approached, the expedition realized it was an ancient seed ship that had been sent prior to Destiny to manufacture Stargates and place them on worlds that Destiny would later encounter, explore, and collect resources from. Initially, the expedition believed that Destiny would collide with the seed ship, but they were quickly proven wrong as Destiny in fact docked with the ship. Colonel Young dispatched a team to the ship to explore while Destiny downloaded information from the seed ship into its database. While the away team was aboard the seed ship, Telford requested that Young keep him informed as he had been unaware of the seed ship and the assembly of the away team. Young reminded Telford that he's the commanding officer on Destiny and doesn't need his authorization nor approval to conduct missions. Telford agreed, but said he can't do it alone and he needs help. Young agrees and brings Telford up to speed so he can catch up on some much-needed sleep. However, before he can do so, an alien presents itself to Dr. Dale Volker, around the time that Eli Wallace and Dr. Lisa Park discovered that the seed ship's energy reserves would be more than enough to dial Destiny's gate back home to Earth. They commence the process of siphoning the extra power to Destiny, so they may dial the gate. However, the expedition soon learns that the alien that appeared to Volker was not alone, and there were in fact at least a dozen more. They overcame Dr. Rush and his security detail and reversed the flow of energy from Destiny back to the seed ship, seemingly intending to leave Destiny in the same shape as the seed ship when Destiny arrived. Lieutenant Scott and Sergeant Greer led the away team back to Destiny, as per instructions of Young. By the time they return, Rush has regained consciousness and departs from the away team. Meanwhile, Telford has remained behind in the seed ship's control room in an attempt to disrupt the flow of energy from Destiny to the seed ship. However, he is unable to move fast enough, and Destiny's energy reserves near the point of critically low, meaning they would be stranded. However, Rush intervenes just in time by severing the connection via physically disconnecting Destiny from the seed ship. Telford had been sealed in the control room and was unable to return before Destiny had disconnected. Young informed him of the situation, and Telford asked Young to take care of the expedition and himself. Destiny jumps into FTL, leaving Telford alone on board the seed ship, surrounded by a dozen or more aliens. Telford later returns, rescuing Destiny from an attack by the Berserker drones by leading them into a nearby star, while apparently piloting the seed ship. Talking with Destiny, he told the crew of his adventure in the month that they had been separated. It turns out the aliens they encountered on the seed ship were not hostile, just desperate. While not exactly the friendly type, the aliens were curious, and through the use of their hibernation pods, Telford was able to learn about them and vice versa. The Ursini, as they call themselves, had previously run into drone territory and were attacked. A small contingent had discovered the seed ship and had been researching it for a possible edge in battle. Unfortunately, the research team had never been picked up, leading to the encounter with Destiny. Telford explained that they only drained power from Destiny due to desperation and misinterpreting the crew's intention. During the drone attack on Destiny, he manned one of the controls on the bridge, acting as a liaison to the Ursini, and was saddened by their sacrifice to save Destiny and her crew. Telford is all for a plan to dial Earth from within a star while Destiny is recharging and doesn't believe it's a good idea for anyone to stay on the ship. When another Dr. Nicholas Rush comes from the future to warn the crew against the attempt, as they will all die. Telford suspects that this Rush may have done something to sabotage the attempt. During a salvage mission to the future version of Destiny, Telford voices his belief. The future Rush denies any action and blames Telford for the deaths of the crew in the previous timeline. Rush, in a fit of anger, accidentally throws Telford into a live conduit, electrocuting him fatally. In an alternate timeline, Telford became angry when there were volunteers to remain behind on Destiny when the crew returned to Earth and led the return. Telford went through the Stargate first, but the wormhole became unstable afterwards, and despite Nicholas Rush's best efforts, everyone who followed him through the gate did not make it. Due to a solar flare and the attempt to dial Earth, Destiny ended up 12 hours in the past. Rush switched with him using the long-range communication device and learned that the fate of the rest of the crew, while Telford saw what was happening to the ship. Camille Ray would later contact Homeworld Command to inform them that the crew was still alive, where Telford insisted on switching with himself to learn what had happened. This version of Telford is the only living Telford in the main timeline, the other having been killed, seemingly by accident, by the alternate Rush. The second Telford connects with one of the Destiny's crew to find out what had happened and is informed of the events, with his other self's death being explained as an accident. Telford didn't seem to entirely buy it, but let it go and warned the crew about the upcoming visit by Senator Michaels and Dr. Andrew Corvell before leaving. When Camille Ray and Ronald Greer switched with the two, Telford met with them and explained that they were under threat from the Lucian Alliance. Telford refused Greer's help and left. A Lucian Alliance Teltac carrying a Lucian Alliance Naquadria bomb crashed into the Homeworld Command building, but Telford made it out safely. At a command center outside, he was contacted by Ray and Greer over the radio and explained what had happened to them. When Ray and Greer couldn't get out, and Telford told them the bomb squad couldn't get in, they volunteered to disarm the bomb themselves. Telford originally wouldn't let them, but they convinced him to let them try. Once they reached the bomb, Ray tried to contact Telford, but couldn't as the radiation from the bomb was blocking the signal. Later, over 6 days of trying and failing to make a connection with Earth, Telford switched with O'Hara to inform Destiny that there had been a problem with the long-range communication device on Earth, on the Earth's end, and was now fixed, and the bomb was successfully disarmed. Telford tried to negotiate with the Langarans to use their power facility to dial Destiny, to send supplies and extra personnel to Destiny, but their ambassador refused until his scientists checked out Dr. Rodney McKay's solution. Due to spy satellites picking up transmissions between the Lucian Alliance and the Langarans, Telford believed the Langarans to have made a deal with the Alliance and advocated taking over the facility by force to dial the ship anyways. Using a trick and the long-range communication device, the facility was taken over, and Telford, who was eager to return to Destiny, and invited McKay to join the crew. The plan failed due to a soldier overhearing the truth, and Telford was captured but later released. When the crew decided to recharge Destiny in a blue giant star, Telford switched with Lieutenant Matthew Scott to be informed of the plan. He promised to try to sell it to the people of Earth, but wasn't sure he could do it, but was informed that the crew was just letting him know and that they were going to do it anyways. After learning that the blockade was also on all planets in Destiny's path, Dr. Nicholas Rush and Colonel Everett Young let Telford know about the situation and asked about supplies from Earth. Telford revealed that that wasn't possible as the Langarans were still refusing to help, and there was no other planet with Naquadah on it. Later, when the crew was saying their goodbyes to their family and friends, Telford was the one Young said goodbye to. Telford apologized for his role in the breakup of Young and Emily Young's marriage, but Young forgave him, saying that the marriage was broken long before Telford intervened. Telford promised Young that he wouldn't give up on the crew, which Young appreciated. Thank you for watching the history of Stargate. Special thanks to the Stargate Wiki for all information you heard today. Very special thanks to Royalty Free Tube for this fantastic background. Have a great day. Bye-bye.